Y'all, Bernie made me happy today. Y'all know, and obviously, when it comes to domestic issues, Bernie is on point like a thorn. You can't question him. For a while, I've had question about not necessarily his anti-war conviction, because I do believe he's an anti-war candidate. However, even the most rational people can sometimes be convinced that there is a time to go to war, even when it's based on a false pretense. And Bernie's unfortunately fell for that sometimes. However, I have been noticing steps in the right direction, and in his recent interview with MSNBC, man, y'all, he made me so happy. He really did. I watched it like 3 times. I couldn't stop smiling because this is what I've wanted to hear. No equivocation, right? Just straight up, nope, not having it, period. Take a listen to this interview.
I want to ask you about Iran because we're seeing increasing tensions. Now 1,000 more troops deployed. Secretary Pompeo momentarily is going to be speaking from CENTCOM. Iran is now threatening to break out of the nuclear deal for the first time after complying for 14 months, according to international inspectors, even though the president withdrew from it. So we see these hits on the tankers. They say there's intelligence. At least the Brits agree with the U.S. that this was Iranian-based or Iranian-proxied. There could be an accidental war. What do you do if you're the commander-in-chief, Bernie Sanders? You're President Sanders. What do you do right now where Iran is arguably acting aggressively, even if it's in reaction to the U.S. policymaking?
First of all, just a couple of points, Andrea. First of all, what is absolutely necessary is an objective investigation as to these incidents. The destruction or the bombing or the attacking of oil tankers in the Gulf of Oman is not acceptable, and we need to investigate it. Second of all,
you don't accept what the Secretary, let me just ask, you don't accept the declaration from the Secretary of State?
No, I don't. I mean, there needs to be an objective investigation. As you know, the Japanese in fact, the owner of the tanker that was attacked disagrees with Trump. But here's the main point that I want to make. If you look at the recent history of this country, I think we understand that the 2 worst foreign policy disasters were based on lies that came from the White House. You remember the so-called Gulf of Tonkin incident that led us to increase military involvement in Vietnam. And man, I could speak, that was my generation. 59,000 brave young men never came home from that war, and tens of thousands of more died, committed suicide, got into drugs when they came home. That was based on a lie. And then you look more recently at the war in Iraq, which I vigorously opposed because I did not believe Cheney, and I did not believe John Bolton, and I did not believe the Bush administration. Again, based on a lie that Saddam Hussein in Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. Let me just say this. I will do everything that I personally can as a United States Senator to stop the United States attacking Iran. If we go into a war with Iran, this will be an asymmetrical war which will go on and on and on. There will be never-ending wars in the Middle East. It'll make the war in Iraq look like a cakewalk. So we have got to do everything we can to bring the antagonist, Saudi Arabia, which is a brutal dictatorship, together with Iran. Bring them together, use the power of the United States to work out a diplomatic solution, not a military solution.
Yeah. Did y'all get a warm feeling in your heart? Did you? All my anti-war people, all my Gravel people, all my Tulsi people, even my Bernie people. Listen, if Bernie keeps this up, then he's going to be all right. He's going to be, because at the end of the day, Bernie is a front runner. Make no mistake about it. Okay. And so with that, there's a certain responsibility that you have, because now Bernie controls the narrative going forward one way or the other. And it's important that he wields that power with responsibility, and he has done that. Notice something. Notice how he refuses to manufacture consent here. Right? There have been other times when it comes to regime change war and coups, like with Venezuela, before. He's changed his stance on that. When it came to Syria, he would equivocate a little bit. he would say, oh, well, he would qualify statements with, yeah, I don't want to go to war, but Assad's a dictator and he's evil and da-da-da-da. We don't need all that. You don't have to say that. I'm not going to war, period. I don't trust you. Notice how he didn't go into detail about all the details about the leadership in Iran. And it's unimportant. It's unimportant. Understanding how our government operates and the nefarious tendencies of our government is important. And that is what he instead chooses to elaborate on. That is so incredibly important. Okay? I can't tell you how excited I was. Then she said, well, but Great Britain, and they agree with us. Because when does Great Britain disagree with the United States? Let's be honest, right? What she failed to mention, by the way, Germany, Japan, the captain of the ship, the owner of the ship, and the crew members all disagree. You know who Great Britain is agreeing with? Mike Pompeo. You know what Mike Pompeo said? I was a CIA director once. We lied. We cheated. We stole. We did everything we could to get what we wanted. Mike Pompeo said this. That's who Great Britain is agreeing with. Bernie, like myself, like you all, like all of us, anybody with any common sense or rationality says, no, there should be, no. And this is actually something important that I think that doesn't get discussed enough. Oh, yeah. That tanker was indeed attacked. Nobody's denying that. And it is absolutely unacceptable. And we should have an independent investigation to figure out exactly who attacked it. And I have this sinking feeling. We're going to figure out who it is. And you and I aren't going to be all that too surprised. And some people might end up exposed in the American government. It's probably going to have, last name might be Israeli, might be Saudi Arabian, who knows? Might belong to one of these rebel groups we sponsor, who knows? But I 100% agree with Bernie. It is absolutely unacceptable. Though the crew members' lives were at danger, and if this attack was orchestrated in order to manufacture consent to go to war with Iran at the expense of the lives of innocent people, then whoo! People got to go to jail. 100% agree with Bernie there. Then he goes on to say, look at the recent history of our country. The worst foreign policy disasters were based on lies out of the White House. Bernie. Oh, Bernie. Speak on it. Oh, man. This is the Bernie that I've been wanting to see. This is the Bernie that I've been wanting for 4 years. Even back then, he spoke on Iraq, but he wouldn't go into detail outside of Iraq the way that I would have liked him to. But saying that, and then talking about the Gulf of Tonkin specifically, and about how that initiated Vietnam, then talking about, of course, Iraq with the quote unquote WMDs. Which is weird, by the way, because if Saddam Hussein got WMDs and that's the reason to invade him, then we got a lot of WMDs. Nobody's invading us. Nobody's even offered to. Nobody's even suggested doing such a thing. It was nonsense. To make it even worse, we didn't even find the type of weapons that they claimed they were looking for. But Bernie pushed back in a way that we are not used to seeing from him. He didn't go on this long tangent about demonizing the leadership of Iran. He didn't equivocate, didn't qualify his statement. He said bullshit. That's basically what he said. The same thing you say, same thing I say, the same thing anybody who can read a damn newspaper and use common sense and logic and reasoning skills would say. And the kicker. Once again, no qualifying statement. I will do everything in my power as a senator to stop war with Iran. That's all I want to hear. That's it. Not but if maybe, not unless it's these circumstances. I will do all I can, all within my power, to stop war with Iran. And Bernie has the voice. He has the mandate. And hell, he got the gravitas. Like all the Democratic senators have to fall in line behind Bernie, man. That's how it goes now. He runs the show. That's why everybody's saying Medicare for all. They may be doing something else behind the scene, but everybody's saying Medicare for all because Bernie said it. Right? Okay. All of a sudden, healthcare is a right. Why? Because Bernie said it. All of a sudden, $15 minimum wage doesn't seem all that crazy. Why? Because Bernie said it. So now Bernie is saying no war with Iran. So guess what Elizabeth Warren's saying? Now don't get me wrong. Y'all know I know Tulsi said it first. Okay, I'm aware of that. But Elizabeth Warren, all of a sudden, no war with Iran. Even Amy Klobuchar has said something to that effect. Isn't that interesting? Because they have to fall in line behind the man with over 1 million volunteers, probably close to damn near $20 million at this point. They're almost at the end of this quarter. So at this FEC deadline, I imagine he'll be close to the 20 million mark, especially after debates. 1 million volunteers, bro. 1 million. That's who they have to fall behind. Those are the facts. So when Bernie steps up like this, it is indeed revolutionary. Because when Bernie speaks, and he has that power, he can control the outcome of wars. He can control the outcome of elections. He can control the outcome of policy, and he can control the direction of this country once he recognizes the power of his mandate and he utilizes it for a populist anti-war message. He's been doing this more consistently, and he's been attacked because of it. And guess what? Every time he's attacked, it boosts his presence. It solidifies his message, and it separates him from people like Warren, who are pretending to be populist, who are pretending to be progressive. And it reminds the people whose side Bernie Sanders is on and whose side the establishment is on. Now, speaking of Tulsi real quick, he also said something at the end of that interview that a lot of people I'm sure caught, but I'm going to say it again. He said, war with Iran will make war in Iraq look like a cakewalk. That is a verbatim Tulsi quote. I love it. I love it. Once again, for those of you who are always wondering, well, how come Bernie doesn't back up Tulsi? How come Bernie doesn't back up Tulsi? How come he's leaving her? Why? Listen, I trust them. I trust both of them. They know what they're doing. They can't behave the same way as everybody else in the race. They can't move the same way as everybody else in the race. So they have to do what they have to do. Maintain a certain distance, but back each other up. That's exactly what they've been doing. I trust them. And I'm excited. I am genuinely excited to see this Bernie going into that debate stage and crushing the likes of those neoliberal, pretend, shill-tastic hacks. Hot damn Bojangles. That's what I'm talking about, Bernie, man. Keep that up. Thanks for watching that segment of Mi Casa es Su Casa. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, on Roku TV, and on JustNForm.com. Also, you can make sure that you're subscribed to the channel by going to the subscribe button, pressing it, and hitting that notification bell to get all of our notifications. And of course, you can help us reach our goal of 500 patrons on Patreon by supporting the show by donating as little as $1. You can click on the link in the description below for that. And remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.